The round of 12, first weekend of the round of 12, I should specify, is here. So we've lost 4 drivers so far in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and in about 3 weeks, we will have 4 more eliminated. All right, so we got 12 drivers left. Who are those 12 drivers? Then I'm going to preview each and every race, talk about them a bit. In fact, I'm going to be at one of them this weekend, Texas Motor Speedway, just down the street from me. Kind of. I have to make a few turns, but basically down the street. Anyways, William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, and Bubba Wallace are the remaining drivers for championship contention. Right now, below the cutoff line is Ross Chastain, -3, along with Brad Keselowski, also -3. Ryan Blaney is -6, and Bubba Wallace -14. So, this first race is at Texas Motor Speedway. Texas Motor Speedway, a 1.5-mile quad oval, had a reconfiguration back in 2017. They lowered the banking in turns 1 and 2, but they did widen the track, widen the turns. The racing product has not been as good as Old Texas. Old Texas was a fantastic racetrack with a lot of character, some great racing, multiple grooves, but New Texas just hasn't hit yet. It's had maybe 1, maybe 2 races. That might be a stretch. But other than that, it has been a pretty not great racetrack. A lot of people want Texas to lose all of its dates. It's already lost one of its dates as a result of the poor racing, the poor attendance. But Texas, maybe with the more wear and tear on the racetrack, the more rough surface, that maybe it can produce a little bit more character. But we will see. I think the IndyCar race, there was a lot of excitement after the IndyCar race here in the spring, so maybe we can get some of that excitement in NASCAR. It's supposed to be a hot one at Texas this weekend. I'm from the area, so it's hot from about February to November sometimes, but usually realistically it's from about March to early October. Sometimes mid-October is when it's really, really hot. And when I say hot, I mean high 90s, 97, 98 is currently the projected high temperature. There's also a chance of rain and thunderstorms in the afternoon, but right now, this week specifically, the weather has just been really wacky. There's been pop-up thunderstorms almost every afternoon. It doesn't, but it's not always the same place. You know, sometimes it's, this is the DFW area. If you're from the area, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's Denton. Sometimes it's Irving. Sometimes it's Justin, which is kind of close to the track. So it's very random where these storms pop up. So I don't know if they'll move up the start time. I don't know what they'll do, but it's supposed to be hot, which means it's going to be a slick racetrack, which means a lot more errors, potentially some more tire wear. And after the last year, do we really want to see more tire wear? That is why, in my opinion, with Talladega and the Roval coming up, you would be shocked if I told you this 2 years ago. If 2 years ago I came out and said this on camera, I would get absolutely, I might still get absolutely trashed in the comments, but this Texas race is the most unpredictable race in the round of 12. And that does not mean it's going to be the craziest race. That doesn't mean it's going to be another crash fest. That doesn't mean it's going to have a weird winner. Just, I don't know what to expect with this thing. Like, Texas has had 2 races in the next-gen car. One of them was an all-star race. The other one was a points-paying race. But both races had major tire issues with lots of failures. In fact, the fall race last year had a record-setting amount of cautions. Like, it's been mind-blowing, so we really haven't got a big feel of who's really, really good at this track in the next-gen car. And once again, we've only had 2 examples. I don't know what to expect for this one. It's a new tire, which I think will help. And I'd like to say that we're going to see the normal 1.5-mile contenders up front, but you never know, you know, like we've seen a resurgence from RFK this year. What if they nailed the setup at Texas? Texas is different than other 1.5 miles. I know it's the same shape as Charlotte, but it's a different layout essentially. The turns are differently banked. It's a little bit of a wider track, as I said. It's a newer surface, so it's kind of unpredictable. Like, I don't know. I can give you stats and numbers, but I feel like that might not help you here. I can give you my opinion, which I am, but I just think this is a little bit of an unpredictable one. We see some familiar faces this year that we haven't really seen up front in the past. William Byron, he's been up front almost every week, whereas, last year he was kind of hit or miss. And beyond that, he's never been a real, consistent threat. But this year he has been a consistent threat. Chris Buescher, the local guy. Prosper, Texas is about 45 minutes away from the racetrack, maybe an hour. So, it's his home race, and this is the best he's ever been in his Cup Series career. What can he do? Brad Keselowski, RFK, as I said. What can they do? RCR won this race last year with Tyler Reddick, but, tires were popping every 20 laps, and I'm not saying that they lucked into it, but, a lot happened in that race. So, I don't know, man. Like, Ryan Blaney's run extremely well at Texas in the past. Finally got his first win there last year in the All-Star race. Speaking of, let's just talk about the past winners. The most recent winners in the next-gen car, Tyler Reddick won this race 1 year ago. By the way, this race used to be a 500-mile race. It has been shortened to a 400-mile race, so only 267 laps versus 334. But Tyler Reddick, the defending winner of the race. Ryan Blaney won the All-Star race in May of 2022. Then going back to the Gen 6 era, I'll give you a few winners there. Kyle Larson won both the fall race and the All-Star race in 2021. In 2020, Kyle Busch and, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this, Austin Dillon won at Texas. I was at that race. That was hotter than what it's going to be this week. And that was it was 105 degrees, and on track it was 160 or something. I don't know, but I was the sixth row, and that's the most dehydrated I've ever been. Anyways, we have kind of gone off point, but point being, those are the most recent Texas winners. Once again, I'm not 100% sure what to expect this race. I could go conservative and say, okay, I expect Toyota to be fast. It's a mile and a half. They are so strong at the mile and a half this year. You're going to see Tyler Reddick up there. You're going to see Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell. They're all going to be up there. But I'm not sure, man. My honest prediction is I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be Gibbs, 23-11 up front. I think we're going to see Ryan Blaney up there because how good he is at Texas. I think we're going to see Kyle Larson and William Byron up there. But the reality is I really don't know what to expect. As for the second race, Talladega, once again, a race you don't know what to expect, but that's expected at Talladega. Big wrecks, flips, crashes, fire. It always happens at Talladega. The Super Speedway package, the first few races was only 2 lanes, and, it was difficult to pass, difficult to maneuver, but then people started to explore more. They went up towards the wall. They made a third lane, and once that third lane gets going, this package, this car at a super speedway can be very racy, and it's fun to watch. This past race at Daytona that we saw just a few weeks ago, great race. We had about 5 or 6 straight laps of 3x3 from first place to 30th. It was great stuff. The spring race at Talladega, great race. We saw 3x3 every once in a while. It was more 2x2. That was when the third lane kind of started to get discovered at the super speedways. But we saw Kyle Busch snap a 15 or so year winless streak at Talladega and super speedways as a whole. Once again, RCR winning his super speedway, no big surprise there. But, we saw a lot of unpredictability. But this race last year, remember, very clean. As I said, Talladega, it's expected for the unexpected to happen. But last year, the unexpected didn't really happen. There was one big wreck, and it only took out a couple guys, and it was Ty Gibbs and, Ty Dillon. 2 guys that weren't playoff drivers, so there were no big factors. I think Joey Logano was involved, but he came back, and he ended up being fine. Over 30 cars finished this race on the lead lap last year. Extremely clean, extremely fun race that Chase Elliott ended up winning, and Chase Elliott not in the playoffs this year. So you got to factor that in as well. But as I said, I do not expect this race to be like the race last year because, as I said, the more races that we've seen with the Super Speedway package in this car, the more comfortable and confident the drivers are with moves, with making a third line. Whereas last year at this time, trying to make a third line, it never worked unless you got 6 or 7 cars. Well, now 6 or 7 cars, even more, are willing to do it, and you can get 3 lines. You can make a lot more moves. You can shift to different lanes, momentum, all that stuff. So I expect this to be your typical chaotic Talladega race. I'm expecting 3 to 5 playoff drivers at least to get involved in some sort of incident versus last year when we always saw the one, as I said. So I really don't expect this race to be as calm as it was last year. I expect chaos. I expect crashes, to say the least. Then we go to the Charlotte Roval. The Roval prior to last year was unpredictable. It was predictable to a sense, but it had a lot of moments, to say the least. The first race we had there back in 2018, Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson fighting for the lead. Jimmy Johnson wrecks them both. Ryan Blaney sneaks through for the win. And also in that race, we saw Brad Keselowski lead everyone off the cliff, and about 10 cars just went straight into the Tums Heartburn turn. 2019, we saw Chase Elliott drive straight into that same turn head on, put it in reverse, fix up his damage, and about 50 laps later, won the race. Then the 2020 edition, we saw rain, and that rain led to a Ty Dillon stage victory and a Timmy Hill top 5 in a stage. And then Chase Elliott also won that one. Then in 2021, we saw revenge. Kevin Harvick getting revenge on Chase Elliott, intentionally wrecking him. And then Elliott responded by intimidating him, and Harvick went straight into the Tums Heartburn turn. So yes, we have seen our shares of chaos at the Roval. And then also in that 2021 race, we saw Larson have a battery issue or something earlier in the race, and then they fixed it up, came back and won. The point being, the Roval has had its random moments of craziness. But then last year, the next-gen car has not raced good on road courses, it's safe to say. Not great racing, not a lot happens. So this year they opted to take stage cautions out for the strategy point of things, and the racing's still the same. It doesn't matter what you do. NASCAR at the last minute decided to say, there's one more road course race this year. Let's put stage cautions back in there, spice things up. So stage cautions are back at road courses. That's an important note for this race. But once again, no big changes to the car. I expect this to be your typical road course race that we've seen in 2023. Extremely difficult to pass with the big wheels, the big tires, the big brakes. I don't expect a lot of lockups, a lot of guys going straight into a wall, spinning just by themselves. I expect it to be, honestly, a clean race. But with those stage cautions back, what it does mean is that we're going to see a lot of points strategy. You can make it on tires and fuel to the end of a stage from the start. So that means on lap 1, where if you're P5 and you're 8 points below the cutoff line, you're staying out. You're going to finish that stage. You're going to collect those stage points to cut down on the playoff cutoff line, but you are sacrificing track position for that because you're going to pit. There are going to be other guys who are racing for the win, non-playoff guys or guys who have to win the race. They are going to be pitting with about 3-2 to go in the stage to get track position for stage 2. So it's a payoff. Do you want stage points right now? Do you want to win the race? And that's why I don't like the stage cautions, but it was not my decision. So once again, for the Roval, I really don't expect as much chaos as we saw from 2018 to 2021. I expect more of the same of what we saw last year. I expect a few cars to be really fast up front, pull away from the field. Last year was Allmendinger, Elliott, and Reddick. This year, it'll probably be Byron's been fast this year on road courses. Larson, I think, has been quick. Reddick has been quick. Toyota's really picked it up as a whole. I'm sure Bell will be quick again. But yeah, so in conclusion, Texas is going to be unpredictable just because we don't know what to expect. We don't know what's going to happen in this round. We don't know what's going to happen in that specific race because there's been 2 races there in the next-gen car, and both have had major tire failures so much that we don't know who's going to be really fast. As for Talladega, expect the unexpected. There's going to be big crashes. Playoff drivers are going to get taken out of this race unexpectedly. And then for the Roval, usually a race that can have some chaos, but with this next-gen car on the road courses, I don't really expect too much chaos is the word of the day, I guess. But Yeah, I think I mentioned the past Texas winners. I guess I'll ramble through a couple of Talladega and Roval winners because I forgot to do that when I was covering each track. But Talladega, the most recent winners are Kyle Busch this spring, Chase Elliott last fall, Raj Chastain in the spring of 22. Those are your next-gen winners. Then if you want to go a little bit further back, Bubba Wallace in the fall of 2021. Spring of 2021 was Brad Keselowski. And then as for the Roval, I'll just name all the winners. Last year's winner was Christopher Bell. The 2021 winner, Kyle Larson. 2019 and 2020 went to Chase Elliott. And 2018 went to Ryan Blaney. So you want my predictions, you want my picks. I did my full playoff preview. I think I picked Kyle Busch to win this weekend in my original playoff preview. For Talladega, I think I picked like Briscoe or some non-Chase driver. And then for the Roval, I think I picked Byron. So, yeah. Thanks for watching this video. I know it was a long preview. We talked about a lot of stuff. But as I said, I'm going to be at the races this week at Texas Motor Speedway. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be hot, though. The heat just went away, and it comes back for race weekend. So, hope that it doesn't rain on Sunday, too. But thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll see you guys this weekend at Texas.